August 15th. Love will tear us apart. Something was going on. Dazia thought to herself as he raced through the burning resort. P9 at the ready, and any other time, it looked like a place she could enjoy a few days off. Vaguely reminded her of a resort she stayed in on a trip to Indonesia while she had a few down days after her assassination. It had ordered her and Intermezzo to do. Well, she'd been spotted that day. Intermezzo pulled the trigger in. For a few days afterwards, it was soaking into Edspar's sun to allay any potential suspicion. She had been 13 at the time, and was just starting to appreciate the looks she was getting from the Australian tourists. Back then, she had been a little cultish and ungainly, and more than a bit shy at times about the attention, but Intermezzo had laughed and said she'd get used to it. In all the years, Adagio never really had. She couldn't imagine herself as some sort of sex symbol now. Especially not now, with her still too short hair, military gear she wore, and the submachine gun she held in her hands. If anything, she looked like some sort of monster, something to be feared and reviled once people truly understood what she was. Well, that was something she never wanted. I don't know, Adagio. Some people would find your little attire hot. She wanted to be normal. This wasn't normal, not by any stretch of the imagination. Rushing forward, she brought the gun to bear and fired. The rounds hurling through the air and tearing through someone that, just weeks before, had been a professional and reliable siren, as loyal to the cause as Adagio herself had been. But things had changed in the past few weeks, and the siren in question had been compromised into an evil, twisted form of herself, while Adagio had become, if anything, more human. She was no longer the Swiss-on assassin she had been trained for her whole life. Now she was something more. And that something more meant something else. She had no more desires to follow orders blindly for queen and country. Everything had to have a reason now. Everything had to have a justification. Not too long ago, she would pull the trigger because Canada told her to. Then she would pull the trigger for revenge against her homeland. And now? Now she wanted to put the gun away and never pick one up again. As the siren Adagio once knew fell to the ground dead, she knew that was nothing more than a pipe dream, one that she was cursed to never see in her lifetime. Adagio bracketed another one she knew, and pulled the trigger again, tearing another siren to shreds, but not in time to save the attacker's victim. As she looked down, her eyes became that of a bloody face with dead eyes that stared blankly at her, as if accusing the teen for not acting quickly enough. Adagio recoiled from the implied blame and felt a burning shame from the corpse's curse. We did this, she whispered to herself. Of course she knew that technically she had not really been at fault for the death of the innocent, but that was immaterial. She should have seen the rotting within. She should have done something about it. But see, her sisters and their swords hadn't seen any of it until it was way too late. That was in any case of absolutely no comfort to the dead woman at her feet. I'm sorry, Adagio said softly, meaning every word of it. We were supposed to protect the innocent, and we failed. She was said more in her soliloquy, but had not been aroused gunfire, racing towards the sound. She heard the gunfire stop, and the wail of a baby broke out. I pushed her to move even faster. As she rounded the corner, she saw another one of the sirens aiming her gun at a man holding a baby. Next to him, another woman had taken her last breath. Adagio moved completely on instinct, her anger taking hold of her. Before she even realized what she was doing, she closed the gap and withdrew her knife. Before she could even scream and cry away, she sank it deep into her former ally's neck, her eyes boring glares of hatred to the other dying siren. Then she turned to the man and his child. Get out of here, she ordered, and he obeyed without any hesitation. As he left, Adagio struck the dead siren of her primary weapon. She was running low on her own ammo, and in the current situation wasn't going to last long unarmed. Traitor! Adagio turned to see another siren there, gun at the ready and a livid look on her face. The teen recognized the older woman, and from the raisins on the siren's visage, that went the same. I'm no traitor, Warrant, Adagio snarled. You're the one who's turning coat. You'll die if you don't join us, Dazzle, the other woman snarled. Now if I take you down first, the teen warned. Above she ever knew one, but she had been repulsed by the atrocity committed here. She had a disadvantage. She was good, but the warrant officer was one of the best fighters of the Sisterhood. Then you're a fool, the warrant said, drawing a bead on the younger girl. No, I'm a siren, Adazio said, charging her former superior officer, and I do not run! As she moved forward, Adagio knew she had to stop the situation at all costs, even if it meant sacrificing herself in the process. Meanwhile, Arya bobbed and weaved, barely dodging Sunset's latest strike. Sonata was not as lucky and took the blow straight to the chest, knocking the air out of her and temporarily dropping her. Arya was torn between helping her younger sister and just dropping her jaw in awe at Sunset's martial arts skills. When she last seen her friend, Sunset was awkwardly learning TKD from Applejack. It wasn't bad for a civvy. But now, Arya could see at least 4 different styles as Sunset had suddenly gone from I play Street Fighter on occasion to better to Junvon and Aaron the Dragon. No openings, fast and powerful, able to surpass Sonata, who was the fastest of them and able to keep up with Arya, who always focused on technique. It was now a considerable disadvantage. At another time, Arya would have insisted Adagio, the best of them spar against Sunset, just to see the difference in the girl's style. For now, her plan was just to avoid the sudden onslaught. 2 more well-timed punches, and Arya barely managed to dodge another blow. This one nearly aimed towards her head. She warded it off only barely. "Sunny, stop!" she cried. "We're here to help!" "Then why are you dressed like the rest of them?" Sunset roared, angrier than Arya had ever seen her. This wasn't a snarky, but overall friendly girl she knew, but instead some sort of demon filled with hate and spite. "We're not with them," Arya gasped. "Please, just give yourself up and we'll explain everything." Arya said no more. Sunset practically maneuvered out of nowhere, slammed her across the face with a brutal kick. Before she could even crumble to the ground, felt herself picked up by one hand by Sunset. "Why are you doing this?" Sunset said in a surprisingly soft voice. "You were my friend. What the hell's going on?" "Look, Sunny, we don't have a choice. Believe me, if we did, we wouldn't be in this situation," Arya begged. "I don't believe you," Sunset told her. Arya looked at her friend, then decided to tell the truth. "Sunny, I'm a teenage assassin who used to, maybe still does, work for the Canadian government." "Look, Arya, I can help. But not if you're gonna lie to me," Sunset insisted. "Canada? Seriously, if all the bullshit lies, I'm serious! I just need to..." Sunset began, but Arya cut her off, knowing what her friend was going to say. "Sunny, believe me, we were damned a long time ago. I never grew up with toys or fun. I didn't know what a normal life was until I met all of you." Violet Eyes pled with Cyan. "Please, Sunny, we're doing this to save you." "I wish I could believe you," Sunset said, voice falling cold again. There was a click behind her, and Dazio's voice said, "She's telling the truth, Sunny. Please, let my sister go." Sunset turned to see Adagio standing there, pointing a pistol at her. Her arm hung limply at her side, and pain engraved on his features on Adagio's face. "We're trying to stop someone from murdering you, honest. And I'm supposed to believe you? Am I supposed to believe anything you say?" Sunset snarled. "Look, I know this seems bad, Sunny, but we wouldn't lie to you, even again." "Yeah, you're right, and I'm sorry about that," the other girl admitted, "and we really didn't care for that. But we didn't have a choice up until now, Sunny." Taking a chance, Adagio lowered the gun, once she did so. "If you listen, I'll tell you everything. But we need to..." Gunfire ripped through the space, and Adagio pulled Sunset out of the way, feeling the shots rip through her body. Everyone turned to see a siren standing there, a cruel smile on her lips as a tendril of smoke wafted out of the barrel. But that wasn't where it ended. No, that turned out to be the monster that stood before Sunset. A scaly abomination wielding a weapon that looked comically anachronistic if it were not for the horror that also lay before them. And that horror was Adagio, falling to the ground and bleeding out. "Daji!" Arya screamed, instinctively reaching for her sidearm, hoping to get a shot off in time. Meanwhile, the seemingly once human creature narrowed its feral eyes, gazing upon its newest targets. "Die!" the beast shouted, drawing a bead, fingers starting to depress the trigger. It was the last thing she ever did. Moving with a speed that bordered on impossible, Sunset closed the distance and hit the monster with a blow to the chest, hard enough that you could clearly see a cavity cave in. But that wasn't enough for Sunset, who immediately spun and delivered a jumping crescent kick that connected with a blast of aqua energy. The force of the bullets sent the creature flying, screaming in utter pain as she soared through the window of a flaming building that immediately collapsed. Sunset didn't bother to follow up on her fight, however. Giving her phone no further thought, she quickly rushed back to Adagio, who was dying in Arya's arms. "You're gonna be okay, sis," Arya sobbed, her eyes filled with tears and thankful her baby sister was still unconscious. This is something Arya didn't want to see for herself, much less the most sensitive of the trio. She was surprised to see Sunset look at her with powerful, sorrowful anger. "Are you happy?" Arya snarled. "He's gonna die to save you, and that's the things we get. They were supposedly your friends." "Arya, don't..." Adagio coughed in a weak whisper. "We have to protect her. You know the drill." "No, none of it means losing you," Arya mourned. "I can't lose you, sis. I've lost too much already." "No one's dying here," Sunset said with a firmness that surprised her. The flame-haired girl burned down to the two. "Let me take care of her, Ari. You and Sonny need to find a way to get out of here." She looked briefly down at her dying friend, then to her friend's panicked sister. "I've got this." "No! I don't want to lose her!" Tears unabashedly streaked down Arya's face. And for the one supposedly being the toughest of the three, it was both surprising and yet not to Sunset. "You won't," says it vow. "You won't. I swear. I could save her, but you need to trust me." Arya looked at Sunset, then at her dying sister, then briefly at her unconscious one. The look on her face was one of utter anguish, and she chewed her lip in worry. "Please." After torturous seconds, Arya handed her most precious treasure to Sunset. "Don't make me regret this," Arya warned her. "Get Sonata and find a car. We need to get out of here." As if on cue, police sirens started to wail in the distance. Arya needed no further prodding. She went over and picked up Sonata to carry her as he went in search of a car to get steel. As he left, Adagio used the last of her fleeting strength to look at Sunset. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "I'm sorry for everything. All I wanted to do was be normal." "You'll be normal," Sunset explained, looking at Adagio clinically and trying not to watch as she tore off parts of the other girl's shirt. So you could see the scars and musculature of a life far different she ever known. This looked more along the lines of a guard's pony's muscles than a normal girl. Or that of a soldier, Sunset had to admit, recalling Arya's earlier words. "Sonny, if I don't make it, make sure Arya and Sonny are safe," Adagio spat before coughing up blood. "Promise me?" "I don't need to," Sunset said, closing her eyes as she began to focus her magic internally. Granted, with her power levels now, it wasn't going to be much of an issue. Then again, there was a difference between what she'd done for Minuet and the battlefield surgery she was performing now. One false move, and all the power in the world wasn't going to save her. "You're going to be fine." "Sonny, I'm dying," another coughing fit. This one worse than the last. Dachi could feel herself weaken. Feeling so tired, desperate pain was ripping through her. "I need a miracle right now." In response to that, Sunset held up her hand and began to spark with unnatural energies, her palm holding a fireball of warm turquoise energy. What is that?" Adagio asked, wondering if she was seeing the mythologicalized light that people saw at the end of their lives. "One miracle," Sunset said with a beautiful smile, "coming up." Then she placed the energy spear on Adagio. The world went white. Meanwhile, Celestia, her arms and legs bound and face covered by a black sackcloth, was thrown rudely to the ground and kicked to the stomach. Gasping for air as cruel laughter briefly sounded behind her. Something loud and metallic, a huge metal door maybe, slammed behind him as he lay on the ground, desperately suffering through the agony as he tried to regain her breath through the life-proof bag. Finally, after a few torturous seconds, Celestia spoke. "Lou?" No answer. "Luna?" Celestia kept down the fear that was starting to set in. She had no idea what was going on, only to be grabbed at gunpoint by mercenaries in that. Out of the corner of her eyes, she could see Sable being shot as her fist began to swim. "No!" The woman screamed as the realization suddenly sank in like a 10-ton anvil. "Sable! No!" She began to strain against her bronze, screaming in rage and fear, hoping someone would help her, and fearful that no help would come. Finally, she felt rough hands on her as she continued to jerk. desperate to get away from the person accosting her, until a gentle voice said, "Please don't do anything. I am here to help." The voice sounded oddly familiar, despite the accent. In any case, Celestia was completely at the mercy of the owner of the voice, for good or for bad, and whatever would happen next would happen regardless. So it was a pleasant surprise that Celestia felt her arms and legs being unbound. A second later, she felt the mask being pulled off, as the other woman told her, "You're safe now, or as safe as I can eat you." Celestia nodded in appreciation. "Thank you," she said in gratitude, as she suddenly found herself looking into a carbon copy of herself. Well, not exactly a perfect copy of herself. The other woman had a sort of hot hairstyle that Celestia never really sure could work on her. Furthermore, the other her was dressed a bit more elegantly in clothing that Celestia herself was pretty sure wasn't going to be able to afford this side of ever. Even from this situation, and what little was visible in the dark room. Everything that the educator could see in her doppelganger spoke of life she couldn't have, save for in her dreams. Finally, it was this other Celestia that spoke. "Siete tout." The other woman spoke in French, so the Celestia, given her Italian language, felt was more than a little unusual. "You're telling me," Celestia said, wondering if worry and grief was making her imagine everything. The other giggled. "And I suppose you're wondering if you're seeing things as well. Try not to presume that you're going mad by imagining another version of your soul. J'ai raison." "The thought had crossed my mind, yes," Celestia permitted. "Then perhaps we could put this to rest." The woman offered her hand. Celestia. Solaire smiled. "Interesting. My second name, well, the one I use publicly, is the Celestia. Small world. When I was a teenager, I had a fake ID that said my name was Solaire." Celestia admitted with a giggle. But a moment of mirth smashed as he asked, "Do you know why we're here?" She shook her head. "I don't know. I was with my daughter in my..." Solaire blushed in a way Celestia had known all too well as of late. The look of an older woman in youthful love. "Anyway, we were attacked and separated." Solaire clenched her hands to fists, closed her eyes as she said, "I don't know what even happened to my daughter." Celestia went into her so-called maternal mode, embracing her look-alike. Her emotions rolled within, but right now someone needed her more than she needed to vent. "I'm sure she's fine, Solaire. These people seem like they're not the kind to take prisoners unless they want something. The question is," she sighed, "is what?" "I don't know," Solaire sobbed. "I thought this was an attempt on our family. We had a lot of those lately. But I didn't think anyone would be this desperate. And now you caught up in this." "Don't be so sure it's you," Celestia admitted. "My boyfriend's a former military hotshot, and apparently some people he's pissed off are in town. You may be the one who got dragged into a situation you're not at fault for." Before either woman could say any further, the door tore open and one voice shouted, "Get in there, bitch!" For a moment the form hit the ground. Celestia knew who that was. "Luna!" she screamed, moving to her sister's side immediately. Solaire, getting the hint, moved as well. Luna looked as she had been run through the ringer. She had multiple bruises and a black eye. "Hiya, sis," Luna said weakly before wincing. "Guess they weren't expecting me to fight back, huh?" "Si stupido!" Celestia retorted, half out of worry and half out of anger. "You could have got yourself killed, Lou." "Who says I haven't?" Luna groaned, "since I'm obviously standing on two of you right now." Celestia gently maneuvered her sister to her lap. "No, you're not. It's a long story, Lou." "We probably have time, sis." Luna gave a wan smile. "By the way, don't tell Molly about this or we're dead." "This is not the time to joke about things, Lou." "Yes, it is. You're usually the one with a sense of humor, okay? Let me have it for a moment." The dark-haired woman looked down at the older sister with tears in her eyes and said, "I don't know if Shadow or Saber made it out, do you?" "I don't know," Celestia said, giving Luna a bleak look. "I honestly don't know." Solaire moved next to Celestia, giving the newcomer a concerned look. "Do you know her?" Luna looked at her sister, then her non-sister, then blinked. "I think I'll have a concussion." "You're fine, Lou. You're not seeing me in double, and I was rather surprised as well." Gesturing to the other woman, she said, "This is Solaire to Celestia, and she's mixed up in this as well. Now, if I only knew what this actually is, I could give you a better answer." To Solaire, she said, This is my younger sister, Luna. Are you okay? Solara asked. Well, even sounds like you, sis. Are you sure you didn't clone yourself? Celestia rolled her eyes. Yeah, you're okay, Seamark sighed. The door opened quickly, and a trio of heavily armed women military came in. All three were wearing masks and had Amazonian physiques and were pointing nasty-looking weapons at the trio. Get up, the lead one said, pointing at the trio. Sie sind that, Solara said, pointing to Luna. You can't possibly... Look, I don't know which one of you pastel cunts the boss wants, the woman snarled, but the bitch with the starry hair is expendable. She nodded her head, and the nearest one pointed her gun at Luna. So either you get off your fat asses and follow me, or I splatter the slit brains all over the ground. Got it? Celestia looked down with a mixture of wild-eyed fear and deep rage. Feared he would hit her baby sister. Rage that would even dare try. She could feel herself rising with a terrible purpose. She would likely die, but better than that for them to ever touch a hair on Luna's head ever again. She started to stand, only to feel Solara's hand on her sister. Taking care of her is paramount, she whispered. My older brother was recently killed, and I suspect I now know who did it. She then turned to the others. Welcome, Solara insisted. But I insist you let my assistant and my sister come with me. You're in no position to demand anything, princess, the Red Sangate responded. Oh, I disagree. I don't know who your boss is, but if you went to this trouble to capture me, then you want me alive, and since you can't be certain that I'm your true target, then it behooves you to listen to what I say. The look in Solara's eyes was one of someone who was used to wielding authority, even when at a disadvantage. Saying this, Celestia wondered who her counterpart was. Was the Snide Princess comment not sarcasm, but instead address? Fine, the soldier acquiesced. But anything out of the ordinary, we dust her. Understood? We understand, Celestia replied, looking at the woman with hate. In a stolen car, just east of the burning Club Tropicana complex, Arya Blaze sat and watched everything go to ruin. By a small run of luck, the person who owned the stunning burnt pumpkin-colored Panamera was the same size as Arya, as though the teen detested wearing a t-shirt blazed with rich, drunk, and fuckable, as well as two short shorts. So he put them on, quickly dressed it on in similar clothing, though she gave the unconscious girl the Daddy's Bag sample t-shirt. And as he slipped on shades and put on her best look of horror, as numerous cops sped past. It wasn't exactly hard to get into character, admittedly. Fortunately, the cruiser sped by, ignoring the stupid rich bimbo and ridiculously expensive import. They had more important things to do, after all. After a few minutes, Sanaa stirred. Sis, she spoke. Stay low, Arya warned, not taking her eyes off the general direction she gazed in. We don't know what they're looking for, and I'm hoping this is enough of a disguise. But if they see you, they could put us at risk. Roger that, Sanaa said. Briefly looking at her clothing, mentally shrugging off the implied insult that was her required top. Still recovering from a massive headache, it took the younger sister a second more to realize something was horribly amiss. Ari, are you okay? Arya wiped her eyes and continued to try to keep an even tone, even though she knew she couldn't. I'm fine, Sonny. Just, please, not now, okay? What do you mean, not now? You're crying, and I could tell. We're dressed like this, and I'm sitting in the middle of a stolen sports car. Revealing the spars of the trio, her mind immediately locked into the situation. Sis, where's Daddy? Sonata, not now! Arya finally turned to face her sister. Behind her ridiculously pink sunglasses, tears could be seen streaking down her face. Just don't ask this, please. No, Sonata whispered, having figured it out anyway and unable to believe it. You're lying! I don't know, little sister. I really don't, Arya said, hugging herself, feeling a sudden chill that wasn't in the air. All I know is that if worse comes to you, I need to keep you safe, no matter the cost. What happened? Where's Sonny? What's going on? Arya looked at her sister, worries in her eyes. I don't know, Sonny. I don't know! Jeez, Arya, you're starting to sound like Rarity. Arya looked around to see both Adagio and Sunset walking towards them. That was surprising enough. The bigger surprise was Adagio looked completely healed. Daji! Arya leapt out of the car and tackled onto her older sister, blubbering incoherently. For her part, Adagio held her sister close, wiping away her tears, assuring her she was okay. But I saw, Arya sobbed, unable to finish her sentence. Adagio reached over and gently kissed her sister on the forehead. Silly, you know I'm not that easy to take down. Plus, who's gonna watch over you two? Sanada, watching the whole exchange with complete confusion, looked at Sunny. What's going on? Despite the situation, Sunset rolled her eyes and chuckled. Doing your stupid act again, Sunny? No, for once, I'm actually completely clueless. Help a sister out here? Dodgy nearly got killed trying to protect me. I got her older one, so I fixed her up. So now for an eyebrow. What? To display, Sunset immediately proceeded to levitate Sanada out of the car. Her body enveloped in an aura of aqua energy. Her clothing began to shift around her, and when she was placed on the ground, her clothing was something a little more akin to what she normally wore. Arya, having watched all this, looked at her sister, then at Sunset, then lifted up Adagio's shirt, seeing the scarless body. Sis, where's the knife scar? The middle triplet asked, searching for a wound she knew would have been there, but wasn't. The one I got when I was 12? Adagio asked. Arya nodded and formed a laugh. Sunny, looks like you did too good of a job. It was that Sanaya asked his obvious question. Sunny, what are you? Sunset gave a bemused smirk. Let's just say you aren't the only ones with a secret. As to what I am, I believe I'm still your friend. Hopefully. She was about to say something else when a wave of dizziness slapped her hard. She nearly collapsed to the ground, if it wasn't for Adagio's kindly catch. You okay? Yeah. I just used a lot more magic than I expected, healing you. Sunset admitted. You were literally at death's door, Dazi. Yeah, having several rounds punched through vital organs generally tends to do that. Adagio said with gallows humor. Look, I'm more worried about you right now. We managed to get you safe, but where are the others? Sunset's only answer was to look at her feet. Her previous composure giving way to look at heartbreak as her fist trembled with fury. Adagio, putting everything together immediately, looked at her friend in shock, her hand going to her mouth involuntarily. Oh god, they're not. No, they're alive. They have to be, Sunset answered quickly, putting down any dark passive thought. They were gone before I arrived, but there's only one reasonable explanation. Unable to contain herself any longer, Arya blurted, Look, can we get to the panicking part that Sunset is a fucking wizard? Unicorn, Flavor Girl replied. What? Unicorn. I'm not even really human. I've kind of adjusted, but it's been a bumpy road at times. She told the three, waiting for an inevitable response. The responses she got were somewhat surprising. Adagio seemed to be taking it all in rather well, but given she was literally dragged from death's door, that was a given. Sanada was as well, given that Sunset had transfigured her clothing. But as for Arya, look, I really feel like I just want to lose my shit right now, okay? First, I see my sister nearly fucking dying from my eyes. Then I watch her get turned back to normal. See Sunny's clothing get magic or something like that. And you're not really human. Oh my god, none of this is making any fucking sense whatsoever. Look, we could talk about this later, but right now, we need to get out of here, Sunset told him. Then afterwards, you could tell me everything, including why that girl I took down earlier looked like what Decreaser from the Black Lagoon. You're taking that better than we did, Sanada commented. Not really being human might have something to do with it, Sunset responded as Adagio ushered her to the stolen car. There's dozens of sapient species back on my home world. While I'm not going to detail on that right now, I can see the miasma of a badly done black magic spell. I mean, that creature was practically farting miasma. This could be an interesting study, Sanada commented. Could we get back into something more normal? Arya interjected as he clambered to the back seat. The rest of the girls followed suit, with Sanada falling into the seat next to Arya. Sunset taking the passenger seat, and Adagio slipping behind the wheel. Like, how are we going to kill these things? I can deal with that. That's perfectly normal. Despite the situation, Sunset couldn't help but smile. Normal would be nice right about now. We'll work on that, Adagio told her as he started the car. Look, I don't know what else to say right now, Sunny, but we'll get the others back, I promise. Laura located to the back seat. Sanada leaned forward and hugged Sunset behind the chair. We missed you. You know that? I missed you girls too, Sunset said with sincerity. Now I need you to explain everything, as much as you can. If that mutation of the girls' kidnappings are related, we need to know why. Especially if you said they were after me specifically. There has to be someone knows about me. If that's the case, neither I nor my family is safe. We have to put a stop to this. It's probably worse than you think, Sonny, Adagio says somberly as he steered away from the charnel house that was once a resort. Fortunately, or rather unfortunately, we'll have plenty of time to talk about that on the drive back. 3 women were roughly shoved into a new cell, this one much larger than the others. From what little light could be seen, Celestia gasped. There in the room was horror. Velvet was ministering into a severely beaten and tied-up nightlight. Looked like she was only barely keeping it together. Celestia had known him long enough to know he was more the lover than the fire type, and see him matched to a pulp like that hurt her in a way she knew tore at Velvet's heart. But at least he's alive. Something in her mind told her, you can't say the same for... Celestia immediately banished that thought and continued to let her eyes scan the room while she looked for any others. Tragically, her visit was rewarded. She saw her own niece, near tears, holding an unconscious Shining who was in worse shape than his father. Sadly, not surprised given his profession. But the biggest spot was Spike, whose presence here caught the educator for a big surprise. He looked around the cell with a look somewhere between a child caught in an adventure and a child who was realizing what was going on was certainly not an adventure. It was he who turned to the door first and saw those incoming. "Miss Celestia!" he called out. "Miss Luna! Miss Celestia?" Velvet looked up at her old friend, her eyes radiating a deep fear and worry. "Tia!" Hearing that, Cadence looked up and the tears began. She said nothing at all, just letting her anguish flow. Celestia looked at Solaire and asked, "Will you look after Luna?" Solaire nodded. "You have my word." Luna looked over with soul and eye. "I'll be fine, sis," she murmured. "You look after our family." Our family. Celestia took those words to heart. She'd known Velvet all her life, and even still nursed somewhat of a crush on Knight despite everything. Both her older siblings had briefly dated. Next year, Celestia's niece would wed Velvet's oldest son, and they would have a tie between them practically all their lives. Celestia, Luna, and Velvet, all sisters in heart, if not in blood. The pastel woman moved to Velvet's side immediately. "Is he okay?" "I don't know," Velvet said. As Celestia got closer, she could see the bruise where Velvet had been punched. Realizing that, the other woman turned away. "I don't think any of us are, Tia." Before Celestia could respond, the door opened once more and another woman, dressed in fatigues, pointed a nasty rifle at the group. "You!" she said slowly. "Get your ass up and follow us." "And if I don't?" she silenced. "You'll be the only living person in this room not holding a gun," the woman threatened. Celestia moved to Solaire's side. "Go." The longer-haired one replied, "We'll be fine here." "Are you sure? I think I have an idea what's going on now." "All the more reason for you to go. We'll be okay here for now. I'm sure of it." Solaire silently nodded and got up, joining the woman with a rifle. "If you have them," Solaire snarled, and got slapped across the face for it. "You don't have the stones or the authority," the woman replied coolly. "But since you're a good little girl, you just brought your friends a little more time. Now come with me and behave yourself or I might change my mind." They shoved Solaire through the door and shut it. Velvet looked at her friend. "Now I might be the worse for wear, but I know I wasn't imagining that, was I?" "Trust me," Celestia told her with a wan smile. "I wish I knew what was going on myself. Other than what I was able to piece together. Solaire is some sort of European royalty, and several members of her family have been assassinated recently. It's a coincidence we look alike. Maybe we have a common ancestor. But I think that whoever's behind these thugs confused us with one another, decided to split the difference and capture us both. Rest of us? Innocent bystanders caught up in a dragnet," Keynes replied, getting a better grip on herself now they were more on Ballywick. "Happens all the time with police sweeps. It doesn't surprise me that criminals aren't as careful, or that they give a damn." She then looked at her aunt. "Aunt Tia, is there anything else you could tell me?" "There's not much to tell," Celestia told her, then started crying. It was more enough for Velvet to figure out why Sable was missing and what happened to him. She moved her, hugged Celestia close, and Keynes embracing both. "We'll survive this and make sure he's not forgotten," Velvet promised, crying alongside her destroyed friend. "He won't be forgotten. Not now, not ever." Never thought I'd be doing this in my own country, Sable thought glumly as he put the remainder of his ACUs. As bad as some of the joke is, there is a ring or two to it. Fighting wars is what other countries' territory's for. He looked at the weapons he confiscated from the woman he killed at Luna's place. With the kind of firepower she had on hand, it was clear that going to the cops was going to be a fool's errand. Not that he didn't think they were capable. Well, there was a difference between law enforcement and military forces for a reason. A situation like this was going to get someone not used to punching above their weight in real trouble real quick. But he had to save Celestia. She gave his life meaning, to make him feel more alive than he ever had felt before. His life had been intertwined with hers ever since the day they met, and he had been the sort of person who believed in that sort of thing. He was convinced that he and she were forever encircling one another. Maybe here, maybe in other dimensions, maybe for all eternity. Maybe there was no sleep alone without Celestia. He reached down and looked at the picture that he had taken down at the pier at Horseshoe Bay last month. They were as happy as they could be. Two people in love, and there was no one who would disagree. The future was theirs to see, que sera, etc., etc. And they were meant to be. He loved her, and she loved him. And now she was gone, taken by bastards who wanted to get back at him for not being a part of the murderous spree. He knew it wasn't directly tied to Blackthorn and Alcorn bullshit. They'd been found dead, taken out by the CIA or some other organization. But backup team clearly meant to clean up the loose ends, and he done so, thinking to take him out and the others as well, taking Celestia and her sister. Was Blackthorn somehow still alive? So, did that mean he had plans for Celestia? And now Luna, too? His blood boiled at the thought. His hand unconsciously went to his sidearm, feeling the grip's texture, feeling a weapon he was already well familiar with. It was the action tonight. For one last night, he would be the Wolf of Kabul, to save his love and her sister. For one final night, he would be the creature of legends that the Taliban soldiers spoke of with both hate and fear. Tonight, for one last time, he picked up the gun once more and wielded in conflict, becoming a god of war few had ever seen before, and would hate to see again. He picked up the picture once more, kissing Celestia's image. I'll get you back. He only set the picture down and walked towards the door, pausing only to pick up his new assault rifle. It was time for the wolf to show the Lessers what happened when they dared to enter his territory.